in the pack right now for the Bridgetown Menace. That would be Demolition Man, Bleed 'em and Reap, Crisco Disco, and Blitzkrieg. Up for the Wheels of Justice looks like Havana Good Time, JK Rolling, French Tickler, and Frankenherder. For those of you who haven't been here before, let's talk a little bit about the people on the track, starting with the jammers. Anyone noticing the people with the stars on their helmets? Those are your jammers. They're the only people on the track allowed to score points for each team. Right now, Shreddy Mercury has broken out for the Bridgetown Menace and is on his scoring pass.
White Flight, the other jammer for your Wheels of Justice, was temporarily opposed there by Bleed 'em and Reap. She's trying to find some room to get out of the pack.
Bridgetown Menace doing an excellent job holding up things and stalling out White Flight. She's a difficult run.
And it's actually a 4-mall out there for the Bridgetown Menace right now, really putting the stops on White Flight. They have to let her go. Back in the pack is Shreddy Mercury.
Bounce to the inside, trying to find his way through. Actually on his way to the penalty box right now.
Which means White Flight now out there on the power jam. She will have an opportunity to put some points on the board for the hometown Wheels of Justice.
Bleed 'em and Reap on his way to the penalty box as well. He'll be sharing some time with Shreddy Mercury.
White Flight with the grand slam. That's 5 big points for the Wheels of Justice as she rolls around for her second scoring pass.
White Flight unopposed around the outside. Picks up another 5 for the Wheels of Justice.
That's an early 10-point lead. The clock says 28-22. We will be playing 2 30-minute halves today with 1 15-minute intermission in the middle.
Bridgetown Menace having a difficult time getting it back together right now and setting up a wall to stop White Flight. That Wheels of Justice onslaught, just misery in the middle there.
White Flight picking up a cutting the track minor, so she avoided getting around one skater by stepping out of bounds. As a result, she picks up a minor penalty. However, she picked up 5 points and now another 3. So altogether, she picked up 18 points, I believe, once the score is updated.
2 for Bridgetown Menace. Bridgetown Menace going into this jam with Bleed 'em and Reap in the penalty box. Shreddy Mercury standing, meaning he has less than 10 seconds left on his time in the penalty box. On the track for the Wheels of Justice
is sulfuric acid, number 20. She, of course, being one of the longtime jammers for the Wheels of Justice, part of their rise last year.
Sulfuric acid driving way up front. Don Juan out on a out-of-play penalty. He'll be spending a minute in the box. Bleed 'em and Reap back on the track.
It's a lot of activity here as the pack tries to come together, sort of reform. Looks like sulfuric acid is hitting the back of that pack. She's using Mercy's jersey, that is, for a little leverage there. She tries to find some space in that pack, and she picks up 3 points in the process.
Shreddy Mercury broke in, picked up another 2 for the Bridgetown Menace. Bridgetown starting this jam with 1 in the penalty box. Wheels of Justice, the French Tickler in the penalty box. Both teams down 1 blocker. On the track for the Bridgetown Menace, Bangers and Stash as jammer.
Even strength right now on the track, and it looks like Wheels of Justice are taking a knee. That's going to mean that they're released on 1 whistle instead of the normal 2. The jammers are out. This is the first time today that we see Scald Eagle on the line for your Wheels of Justice, and she's powering her way through a 3-man wall out there for PMRD.
Bangers and Stash having a difficult time in the backfield. Up against his wall now. He's trying to break through. He is on his scoring pass.
Scald Eagle back in the back of that pack. She's by Carpe Diem, and I didn't catch the other.
Speed Bump.
Thank you. She bursts through the outside, picks up 4 points on the jam, and that brings it to 25-4 early. 25-47 here in the first half.
Bridgetown Menace going into this jam with 1 in the penalty box. Wheels of Justice, everybody on the track jamming for Bridgetown. Bleed 'em and Reap.
And so 7 of those penalties will get you ejected from the game. Hopefully we won't see it today, but penalty management, especially in the second half, can be a big deal.
I'm putting on my imaginary cap. I'm betting someone's going to get ejected today. I doubt who it is. White flight around the outside picks up lead jammer.
She is lead with a burst of speed. Out there now as well. I believe it's Bleedham and Reap moving around the outside.
Bridgetown Blitzkrieg on his way to the penalty box. I didn't quite see what his penalty was.
There's a lot of action happening up there. Even Magic Pony misses something once in a while.
Believe me, I miss a lot. It's even worse when I'm playing. On the line once again for the Menace, Shreddy Mercury.
And out there for your Wheels of Justice, I believe that's sulfuric acid on the line. All the blockers are pretty much set up on the jammer line. Wheels of Justice taking a knee, so again, it's an immediate release. And it looks like there's attempted pass of the cap. Shreddy Mercury trying to give the jammer star away, but couldn't find a taker.
Puts it back on, gave up that maneuver. It's an excellent play if you can pull it off. But Wheels of Justice, they're just sharp as a tack out there. They saw that coming and really separated everybody, so we couldn't reach it across. Sulfuric acid bounced to the outside. She's on her scoring pass. Shreddy Mercury just broke through.
He's out of the pack and accelerating, and it looks like sulfuric acid didn't really want to give an opportunity to get back to the pack. She picks up 4, calls off the jam. 32-4 on the scoreboard. We only have one person sitting in the box right now, and that is a PMRD skater. So Wheels of Justice at full strength as we start the next jam.
Man down 3. Everybody up on the front line. It's old school derby for once. On the line for the Menace, Bangers and Stash once again.
I'm a little obstructed here. I think it might be Scald Eagle.
Yes, it is. Speed bump, dumps her to the outside. She's back in, cuts around him.
She is so explosive, grabbing that lead jammer for the Wheels of Justice. You can see her flying around the outside. It looks like
Bangers and Stash broke out. He's on his scoring pass as well. Scald Eagle up against the last 2 and calls it off.
Really smart play there by Scald Eagle, picking up the 4. Oh, I guess 2 points were picked up by Bangers and Stash. So 36-4 is what the scoreboard says. 22-52 for everyone watching there at the Baghdad. We are looking at the purple, which is the Wheels of Justice, and then the white is PMRD, or as they're now called, I was informed just before we kicked it off here today, Bridgetown Menace.
You are correct. Long debated name for the men's team. On the line, Don Juan, first time of the day for the Menace, up against White Flight.
White Flight picked up a ton of points there on her second jam, I believe it was earlier. But Don Juan
breaks out up front. He is lead jammer. White Flight hot on his tail.
Both jammers flying around the outside, and White Flight is in Don Juan's hip pockets. He calls off the jam.
Scrappy Go Lucky on her way to the penalty box there for a track penalty. That was a intentional destruction of the pack. She'll spend a minute in the penalty box with Cilia Devourer.
Susan B. Anarchy doing some yelling out there at the skaters. I think she's looking for a little bit more out of Bridgetown Menace right now based on her body language.
Susan was yelling? Wheels of Justice starting this jam down 2. Menace at full strength. This is their real chance to pick up some points and do some damage. And
sulfuric acid quickly grabs lead jammer. She's accelerating around the outside. Not to be outdone, it looks like Shreddy Mercury is grabbing some space there right behind sulfuric acid.
Bridgetown walling up in the back to try to stop sulfuric. Not able to pull it off. She picks up the 4 and calls it off.
Really smart play there, picking up the 4 points. Brings the score to 40-6.
She's so wily. On the line for the Menace, once again, Bangers and Stash. Wheels of Justice starting this jam with 2 in the penalty box. Cilia Devourer standing, meaning she has less than 10 seconds left on her minute.
Scald Eagle back out there on the jammer line for the Wheels of Justice. PMRD takes a knee, single whistle releases the pack. The jammers are off and trying to find some space.
Banger's looking for some sunshine in there, just can't find it.
They're really tight out there right now in the pack. The walls just not a lot of room. I don't know if you could get a bit of daylight in it right now.
Havana, good time giving Bangers a good time up front, but he breaks through for lead jammer. Scald Eagle dumps him in the outfield.
That was actually a really nice hit right there.
It was beautiful. You don't see a lot of jammers who love to go on the offensive as much as Scald Eagle. She is not afraid of contact. On the line once again for the Menace, Don Juan.
Looks like white flight on the line for Wheels of Justice, and we only have one blocker in the box right now for Wheels, and she's standing, so she's there for less than 10 seconds. We're almost back to full strength, which is always exciting, Pony.
White flight through and up against that four wall up front, trying to find a way to break through it, just picking at it. She does not stop contacting them and trying to throw them off.
Wheels of Justice doing a great job of trying to slow down that pack speed and give her the opportunity to break out, which she does. Lead jammer, but once again, this kind of looks like a photo replay. Don Juan just out there hip and hip with her.
This should be the point where the men's team should be walling up and trying to slow her down. Bleedham and Reap dumps her to the outside. She calls it off, trying to stop any scoring. Looks like PMRD picked up 1 point on that pass.
That was a great hip check out there by Bleedham and Reap. Nobody's in the box. We're at full strength. The clock says 18:58. It's 40-7. Wheels of Justice enjoying an early lead. So far, this is probably kind of what we were expecting. Some great walling out there by Wheels, great teamwork, really well-executed strategy, and, of course, Mike Chex is helping to make that happen this afternoon.
Man, everybody starting up front. Shreddy Mercury breaking through. He's up front. One more to get by. French Tickler giving it to him. Sulfuric acid going after him. He dumps her. She trips him down.
Somebody's leaving the track, and it looks like it's sulfuric acid on a low block major. She'll spend a minute in the box, which means Bangers and Stash is on the power jam, and this is exactly what Bridgetown Menace needs to kind of get things going here, Pony.
They really do. French Tickler up front, drops him to the outside. He breaks through. Frenchie on her way to the penalty box for a forearm major.
Okay, so that's a 5-point pass for the Bridgetown Menace. 40-12 is what that brings the score to. Still on the power jam, still an opportunity to score. There's a 3-wall out there for the Wheels of Justice. Just trying to beat that corner, but it looks like he got shut out.
J.K. Rowling drops him to the outside. Shreddy on the inside line, dropped to the inside by Minstrel Psycho.
So you got a 3-wall of purple in front. There's a 3-wall in the back.
Shreddy on the inside, breaks through, picks up the points, and calls it off.
And it looks like they're scoring it as 4.
And that would make this 40-16 Wheels of Justice.
So obviously you can't time the power jams, but that worked out really well for PMRD to try to kind of close that gap before it got too far away.
Everybody up front. Bridgetown Menace taking a knee to get this jam started right away and release the jammer so they can get some point scoring happening before Wheels of Justice gets theirs back onto the track. Sulfuric acid is standing in the penalty box, so she will be on the track momentarily.
Bangers and Stash, the only jammer out there on the power jam. He bursts through to grab lead jammer. Sulfuric acid out on the track now as well. Bangers and Stash may be able to grab a couple before they get back to the pack.
I'm betting he'll be trying really hard to get one or two, but she's not going to give him much time.
All of the white is in the back, so we'll see if he calls it off, and he does.
Wheels
2
doing
points.
a great job hanging up in front of him. He does get 2.
So the scoreboard says 40-18. Once again, it's white, PMRD, or Bridgetown Menace, as their travel team is now known. And the purple are Wheels of Justice. And so far, this has been the women sort of dominating.
I don't even know what to say about that. On the line for Bridgetown, Don Juan, and up for Wheels of Justice, White Flight. Don Juan breaks through on the outside, round speed bump. He's your lead jammer. White Flight still hung up behind that wall.
One to beat, and she does. White Flight out of the pack. Don Juan once again with an opportunity to grab a couple points and call this off. The purple's mostly in the back, so this is a good chance for him to do some points.
Don Juan hung up by the wheels of justice and calls it off before. Not before White Flight had a chance to pick up 1 point. Nobody in the penalty box. Everybody on the track. This is real live derby.
Wheels of Justice choosing to occupy that jammer line. It looks like we have all 4 blockers lined up there. You notice the stripe, which marks the pivot. We really haven't talked about that so far this afternoon. But their responsibility is to control the pace of the pack and really kind of be the quarterback for the blockers out there as they skate around the outside.
They're also the only person on the track who can take the jammer cap and become a jammer if necessary. It's a strategy that happens from time to time. Scald Eagle first to break through, but not lead jammer. Shreddy Mercury on his way to the penalty box. He picked up a cut major in there and will be spending a minute by himself.
Scald Eagle bursting through 4-5 big points on the Grand Slam. Not the lead jammer, which means we probably will go for most of the entire jam, which will be about 2 minutes.
Scald Eagle easily working her way through that group.
5 more points she adds to the score here for your Wheels of Justice.
Bridgetown trying to set up a wall in the back to slow her down. Lobster dumps her to the outside. Breaks up front to try to get her, and she breaks right past him.
It looked like they had her contained for a second, but it's really hard to put the stops on Scald Eagle. She picks up another 5 points and is back in the pack.
It would be easier to stop Scald Eagle if the Wheels of Justice wouldn't play as well as they do, but it's hard to keep a wall formed, and they just keep beating at you.
And she picks up another 5 on that pass. This power jam came at a great time for Wheels, but probably not the best time for Bridgetown Menace. Purple already dominating here early.
Crisco Disco trying to put up a valiant defense against the Scald Eagle onslaught in the backfield there.
It looks like we've got
Havana Goodtime picked up a 4th minor on her way to the penalty box for a minute.
cutting the track minor. I didn't catch who the skater was. Or maybe it was a major on Shreddy Mercury.
Shreddy Mercury on his way to the penalty box again.
4th minor.
4th minor.
All right, looks like Scald picked up, I believe that was 5. It's either 4 or 5. Sometimes that thumb's a little elusive.
5's the most you can get in any one pass, just in case you didn't know.
Good clarification, Pony. Thank you.
Thank you. I have an eye for the obvious.
All right, so we've got some people sitting in the box right now. We've got 2 purple, 1 white.
And the white, unfortunately, Bridgetown Menace's jammer, leaving sulfuric acid on the track by herself in a power jam.
Which means sulfuric acid out there, the only jammer. She's going to have probably about a minute here to put some points up before PMRD's jammer reappears on the track.
Bridgetown doing an excellent job hanging her up, though. It's not an easy job. She's breaking for the inside. Determinator drops her to the out. She breaks back in. She takes the cut minor. Is not lead jammer.
Okay, so not lead jammer, cut minor on the pass. However, she still can put up a lot of points. Scald Eagle on the last power jam was not the lead, and that didn't stop her from scoring the gaggle.
Bridgetown doing a terrific job staying in front of her and holding her up, but she just fights for every foot of the track.
5 big points there for sulfuric acid.
Bridgetown working towards the back, trying to set up a wall and stop her. Demon, Carpe Demon, and Bangers and Stash. Determinator, last line of defense, drops her to the outside, takes a tumble, she runs on by.
And actually, if he could have stuck that, he might be able to ride her to the inside and then force her back into the pack.
Susan B. Anarchy on the sidelines.
Ooh, big hit there on the outside. Looks like Speed Bump taking sulfuric acid down hard.
Sulfuric acid. Bangers and Stash right in front of her. Demon and Determinator holding her up on the front line. Determinator drops her out. Havana Goodtime comes and finishes him off. She's back in at them.
So I'm not sure if Susan B. Anarchy shared something with the men on the side, but I'm noticing that they're getting a little bit more physical, better with the ride-outs, a little bit tighter on some of the walling that we're seeing right now, it looks like.
I know that they practice those moves a lot. It's hard when you're playing against a team like Wheels of Justice to keep that stuff in mind. As soon as somebody reminds you and says, hey, this is what you guys need to be doing, it really helps.
So right now, the Wheels of Justice are the 6th-ranked team unofficially in the United States, according to Derby News Network. They recently are just coming off that win against Windy City, who was the 10th-ranked team. It was a big win. It was kind of in the final moments. Scald Eagle helped them to kind of get over the top, and I guess it was 133-130. So a really good win for Wheels of Justice.
The Bridgetown Menace, not actually ranked quite yet, as they're just one of the newest members of the Men's Roller Derby Association going into tournament season. 4-wall in the back by Bridgetown Menace.
Looks like J.K. Rowling. That might be your first time tonight for the purple on the jammer line.
Bleedham and Reap up there driving that front wall forward. Texine, Celia Devour really working him over. He breaks around the outside. Lead jammer.
Okay, so they're holding up J.K. Rollins. She is now out. One to beat, which is Don Juan, the Devastator.
Don Juan runs her down, goes for the desperation hit, drops her out, but picks up a low block major and is on his way to the penalty box.
Which bought some time. So right now, Bleedham and Reap out there with an opportunity to put some points on. Looks like he picked up 4. 4 points on the pass. 89-22 here for the women in purple.
Both teams going into this jam with 1 in the box. We've got a timeout, Wheels of Justice.
So far the benches seem pretty calm. Both coaching teams are kind of eyeing each other over. It looks like Mike Checks is in the middle there for Wheels of Justice. It's a possibility there's some kind of clarification going on there regarding a recent call, maybe some points.
It's hard to tell. The guy's so calm all the time. He could be having a total meltdown out there, and you'd never know.
Not a lot of arm flailing on either side, so that's usually a good sign.
Susan B. Anarchy coming over to give her guys a pep talk up at the pivot line.
So kind of talking about what's next for the Bridgetown Menace, we talked a little bit about Wheels of Justice. We have the Spring Roll tournament, I guess, coming up.
Yes, that's in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And that's in May. And then the men will again be on the road for the Throwdown and the Sound, and that'll be coming up in June. The men's game's a little different.
Washington.
Thank you. The men's game is a little more geographically diverse. There's fewer teams. There's about 20 right now in MRDA, which is their official body. And so as a result, a lot of the action for the men happens at tournaments. I know that the men were in action at the Big O not too long ago.
In fact, Bridgetown Menace played, I can't remember who those guys were. Puget Sound. What is that? The Outcast. And took a pretty good beating that day. On the track for Bridgetown, Bangers and Stash once again. Both teams down 1 to the penalty box. Sulfuric acid standing in the penalty box means she'll be on the track in less than 10 seconds.
All right, we hear the no-pack call, which means that the jammers are released, and it looks like Scald Eagle out there for the purple and white.
Bangers and Stash broke through. He's lead jammer. Scald Eagle hot on the track right behind him.
Sulfuric action comes back to sulfuric action.
Yeah.
How about acid? Comes back to join the action. Don Juan the Devastator still in the box for the white.
Sulfuric hanging in the backfield playing a little defense. Scald Eagle breaks through. Picks up 3.
So 92-22. It's about a 70-point differential here for the purple. And 7:47 here in the first half. There will be another 30-minute half, which is why we call them halves.
Oh, hey. I get it now. I'm not the best with fractions. On the line for Menace, once again, Shreddy Mercury. Wheels of Justice. You've got J.K. Rowling breaking right through before turn 1 being lead jammer.
She did a great job of just grabbing the shoulders of one of her blockers and using them as a wedge as she pushed through and then sailed around the outside, back into the pack. She's got one to beat. Crisco Disco puts the stops on her for a second.
Shreddy Mercury on his way to the penalty box for a back block major. Leaving her JK rolling on the track once again by herself in a power jam situation. The men up front trying to wall up and slow things down. Don Juan going after her in the backfield.
Wheels picking up 4 points on the last pass, and J.K. Rowland's looking to pick up some more points now. Looks like someone sort of leapfrogged her there. I guess that's legal.
As long as you don't touch them. Scrappy Go Lucky, on the other hand, on her way to the penalty box for hitting a down skater.
5 more points for J.K. Rollins and the purple and white. Scores goes to 101-22. And looking forward, the women are going to be in action next against the Denver Roller Dolls Mile High Club. Having some speech issues today. Okay, so number 5 in the West are the Denver Roller Dolls, and the Rose City Rollers, Wheels of Justice, number 3. So that's going to be a good matchup. I think it's coming up in May.
Ladies starting this jam on a knee to get things rolling right away. Mercy and Speed Bump on the line, having words, a little whispering going on there. I'm not quite sure what that conversation might be about, but probably something about the after party, which will be happening officially at the bar behind the Baghdad. That's what my notes say. People should stick around and head on over there right after the game and meet some of the players. They'll all be there. HP and I will both be there, tying one on.
I brought my backup disco shoes, so I'm all set there, Pony.
I'm ready for some action of a drinking kind.
Scald Eagle will be on the line when we get back to play. We've just got a little bit of an official clarification there in the middle. Didn't see enough gestures or body language to really pick up on what was going on there, but I'm sure it was something strategic and deeply derby.
Nobody flipping out. The men starting with their jammer in the penalty box. That's Shreddy Mercury. And Scrappy Go Lucky in the penalty box for the Wheels of Justice. Scald Eagle breaking through. 2 more to get by. The guys running her down. Bleed 'em and Reap and Determinator on her up front. They're hanging her up. Oh, and she's on her way to the penalty box. She picked up her 4th forearm minor.
Okay, so once she hits the box, Bangers and Stash is going to pop out there for the Bridgetown Menace. This will be a power jam situation for the white and black. The hope here, if you're following the men's team, is that they'll be able to put some points on the board.
Shreddy Mercury. No. We had a cover pass. We're looking at Bleed 'em and Reap being the jammer for the Bridgetown right now. And he has broken through. He's on his scoring pass.
One of the things you'll notice about Bleed 'em and Reap is that he's kind of fast.
Holy mackerel. He's absolutely terrifying. He hits like a truck, too.
He's got a hockey background. He's actually played hockey for a long time and only recently came to Derby, but a lot of the skills are very transferable, Magic Pony.
Absolutely. For him, it was pretty much the exact same game. And when we say he has a hockey background, he's a professional hockey background. He played hockey for years in Canada. I haven't had him haul off and just punch me in the face yet, but he's got that look in his eye every once in a while. You never quite know what he's going to do, and he skates amazingly backwards, forwards, sideways. It doesn't seem to make any difference for him. And right now he just broke through and picked up 5 points for the Bridgetown Menace.
He slipped through the last blocker. It was sort of a Stretch Armstrong kind of thing there. He's back around for another scoring pass. Kind of goes down in a heap, and he might have picked up a back block. I didn't see the call. Did you,
He definitely picked up a back block major right there, right at the whistle.
But picked up another 4 points as well, so it's 110-27, and we're down to 3:46 here in the first half. This is really a great event. It's a great fundraiser for the Rose City Rollers, Wheels of Justice, and this Battle of Sexes thing is kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's an honor to be able to do this with Rose City and the Menace. Look forward to these games like nothing else. Timeout. Bridgetown Menace. Rob Lobster doing a little chit-chat there at the referees. Not quite sure what he was talking to them about. He's going to come out and talk to the coaches as well. Hey, you guys are hitting us. I took a hit and it was, it might have been a little rough.
So some of the play style differences, when you see the men out there, a lot of hard hitting, blocking, especially when it's men on men derby. So the MRDA events, they seem to be a little bit slamming when they're out there.
Mackerel, yeah, I've played in a couple of those games. They men's game is a lot of just hitting from the shoulders. It's all from the waist up, and it's a very rough game all the way through. It's in sort of its adolescence. It's really, men's derby is a very new sport. The guys haven't quite built up the finesse that the ladies have, at least here on the West Coast. You watch Wheels of Justice and the way they play, it's all from the waist down. It's just these beautiful positional blocking, sliding people out, just getting them out of your way. There's very rarely these huge flying into the stands kinds of hits.
Very tight, effective walls for the women, very strong teamwork, very well executed and clear strategy they're employing when they're moving around the outside. And you're seeing some of those differences come into play this afternoon here as this scoring gap is kind of growing.
Definitely. The men's game, when PMRD, when the Menace gets in front, they put together a nice solid wall. It's almost impossible for somebody like White Flight or even Scald Eagle to break through those things. As long as the guys are stuck together, they just can't pound their way through that wall. As soon as a hole opens up or somebody slides in and just picks off one of those guys, they can slip around the outside. They do a very effective job with that, and that's just a body mass issue sometimes.
I think one of the things we're talking about as well is they at the Wheels of Justice have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And Bridgetown Menace is a little bit newer to it, and they're trying to kind of find their groove. And there's also teamwork and chemistry and these types of things that you don't get from day one. They take time to develop. And so Bridgetown Menace today is much different than they were a year ago, and it'll be much different a year from now.
I hope they're different a year from now. They're actually doing a really fabulous job, and I know that when they go to Spring Roll in Fort Wayne, Indiana in May, they're just going to kill it. I have a feeling these guys are going to really put it together. And playing these games with Wheels of Justice, you learn something every minute you're on the track with them.
And coming out of the scrimmages, kind of talking to some of the skaters, what we're hearing is that initially these bouts, because they do it on once a week, there's these regular scrimmages set up, and what was happening is the men were just getting destroyed early on. But as they've been playing, the word is that it's really a narrowing scoring margin. The men are starting to figure out what the women are doing and start to implement it around the track.
And figuring out more effective strategies for playing a team that's so much more experienced.
And really, that's the only way to get better. I mean, if you're playing teams
sure.
that are just starting out,
I'm not taking it personal or anything. It's okay.
I just got to get that tear out of the corner of your eye there.
Susan Bianarchy working the bench for the Bridgetown Menace, giving the guys a bit of a pep talk. Hurt Vonnegut talking with Rob Lobster. That timeout is over.
We got a shake and a whistle, which always means we're coming back from a timeout, I guess.
Bridgetown starting with their jammer in the box and speed bump in the box.
Sulfuric acid is out there for the purple and white. Wheels of Justice rolling. She quickly grabs lead jammer, and as she starts to move around the outside, it looks like the men are trying to get to the front. They managed to pick one off. And it looks like 5 big points there for Sulfuric Acid. A great initial pass. She's trying to find some room. There's a 3-wall. Now it's a 2-wall. 1 to beat. It looks like speed bump. He trips. She grabs. Should be 5. with the Jammers sitting in the box here in the Power Jam. So 10 points so far for sulfuric acid on this jam. She's doing a great job out there.
And Wheels of Justice doing a great job keeping the men separated. They just can't put together a wall the way the women just keep getting in their way and hold them apart.
5 more points, 15 on the jam. Sulfuric acid is just a beast out there right now.
Bleedham and Reap back on the track out of the penalty box, trying to make his initial pass through the pack.
I don't know if my eyes trick me or not, but it looks like she actually jumped the middle there to get a little space on the inside. There's some pretty fancy skating.
Bleedham and Reap breaks through. He's on his scoring pass. Sulfuric acid breaks through for 5 more and calls it off.
It's a little funny when you see someone like sulfuric acid out there. She's maybe 5'2".
She's very small.
And the men look like skyscrapers next to her, but she's just finding these cracks and blowing through them.
Speaking of people who play small in this game, White Flight on the track for Wheels of Justice and Bangers and Stash. White Flight just disappears on the outside line. And I'm betting you'll probably see some of that action coming up. She is one of the most wily jammers I've ever seen in any team. Don Juan going after her. Can't catch her. She's your lead jammer.
And there's a lot of movement there in the pack as they try to set up a wall. It looks like right now the men, Don Juan goes off. They're kind of separated. They're all in single file. Looked like they were trying to wall up at one point, but I think they kind of got broke down.
The men with 2 blockers in the penalty box right now, and Bangers and Stash.
So it's a pretty full box out there for the men. One of the things that's going to be a potential problem later on is you'll notice there's no purple in the box. And already the Wheels of Justice had several power jams in his first half, which is kind of concerning looking forward to the end of this game.
White Flight just charging around the outside. 2 blockers on the track. It's really difficult to stop somebody like that.
She picks up another 5.
Yeah. Crisco Disco back on the track. Determinator, Carpe Demon.
They tried to lay a shoulder and kind of ride her out there, but she decided against it and just kind of kept on skating.
You just can't put a finger on her. Once again, on the inside line, she just works her way through, picks up another 5.
So the first pass, she went around the outside. The second pass, she was on the inside. It almost seems like, you just got to guard all the lines.
Yeah. And with 3 people on the track, it's almost impossible to do.
Okay, so the scoreboard says we're on a halftime. If we are, it's for 15 minutes. I don't know if we got an official signal, did we? Are we on 15-minute halftime?
Yes, it is a 15-minute halftime. A great time to toddle on out to concessions and pick up some pizza and beer if you're at the Baghdad Theater. I hope you folks are having a great time. I know we are. Looks like we're back. Magic Pony and HP Shovecraft live from the hangar.
First half action was very entertaining. 159-27. The ladies in purple and white. The gentlemen are in white and black. And some very strategic play by Wheels. They took advantage of a lot of penalty situations in the first half. A lot of power jam situations, putting a lot of points up in big gobs. And as we get ready for the second half of play, one of the things that you're kind of concerned about if you're a PMRD fan is the fact that there were a lot of gentlemen sitting in the box in the first half, and now they've got to get through the second half of play.
Well, you know what they say about the Bridgetown Menace. They're a second-half game, so I expect to see them coming out like just a ham-fisted bunch of hunks and really dishing out the action in this second half. Working hard to show the ladies what they've got. Now that they've got a feel for the field and they understand what the ladies have brought to the table, they're going to bring it out and really take a couple of swings at it, put some points on the board. It wasn't just the Wheels of Justice who had plenty of power jam situations in that last half. The men had a few of those as well, but they just didn't have the opportunity to take advantage of them the way the women did. I know these boys, and I have faith in the fact that they're going to pull it out. They're going to run away with it. We're going to end this game with them on top. That's my unofficial, uneducated opinion. I've never seen Derby before in my life.
Well, welcome to Derby, Magic. We're glad you could come here this afternoon and get on,
Thanks.
Mike.
Everybody's so friendly. It's a close game right now, 159-27. Rose City up. Everybody on the line. The men lining up right in front of the Scald Eagle.
Mercy doing a little positioning out there. It looks like she really wants that inside line. Probably trying to get ready to create a lane for Scald Eagle to get to the business here.
Oh, that's what the L that she was holding up was meant. Wheels of Justice breaking up the men right away. One Punch Patrick holding up Scald Eagle on the outside line.
Mercy with a whip there to try to move Scald Eagle forward in the pack. She's ridden into the middle of the track. Gets back into play. There's a 2-wall of Bridgetown Menace trying to give her the cold shoulder.
Demo doing a great job riding her to the outside a couple of times there. Demo and Clydesdale hanging her up in the front. She's working really hard to push them forward and break it up. They're compelled to let her go.
So she did get through, but some really good defense by the men there. A really great 2-wall they were running to try to put the stops on.
And all that contact in there, and she did not pick up one minor on the way through. Became lead jammer. Bangers and Stash broke through.
And Scald Eagle sees that and calls off the jam. So the sides have switched here in the second half, as is common in Derby. So you'll notice Mike Checks and the Baxter are now on the right for us. I don't know where that'll be there for you at the theater. And on the left-hand side, then, the white and black of PMRD with their coaches, Susan B. Anarchy and
Hurt Vonnegut.
Thank you. Formerly of the Cherry City Derby Girls.
That is correct. The women starting this jam on a knee. Power jam situation for them, so they want to get their jammer released as quickly as possible. Bridgetown working hard to hang her up. Determinator. Bleed him and reap. Swings through on the outside. He's lead jammer. Sulfuric acid still hasn't broken out.
She's got a 2-wall to beat. It looks like Crisco Disco and Determinator that are running that 2-wall at the front. Crisco trying to do some bridging. She's through now. We'll see if Bleed Him and Reap can pick some points up. He's back in the pack. He's got a 3-wall of purple there to get by, and he calls off the jam. But not before picking up some points. 3 points to be precise there for Bridgetown Menace, Pony.
Nice job, Bleed Him and Reap. But that's one of those situations you're talking about. The men keep getting lead jammer, and the women get back in the back with a really effective wall and just hang them up, and the men can't get back there to break it up, and even when they do, the women just reform and hang up those jammers, just hold them there.
Very fluid.
Yeah, they're incredible about recycling through the pack like that. Don Juan and White Flight on the track again for their respective teams. Don Juan on the inside, dropped to the inside by J.K. Rolling.
And right now, White Flight trying to find some space on the inside. She's up against a 2-wall of PMRD.
Don Juan works his way through it, picks up lead jammer. White Flight still hung up. She breaks through.
Both jammers will have an opportunity to score on their second pass. Don Juan is lead jammer, which, of course, gives him the opportunity to call off the jam at any time. It's a great strategic advantage.
The men down one blocker right now. Don Juan pushing hard to break through and pick up some points. White Flight coming up on him, forcing him to call it off. Bridgetown, 3 points.
Chipping away.
Nice. I told you that was the way it was going to go. If the game was an hour longer, never mind.
So this afternoon, there's a big Derby bout coming actually to Denver. So it's Denver Bay Area, number 8 and 9 in the country, taking each other on. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, all right, what we saw there was a helmet cover pass, breaking Shreddy Mercury up to the very front so he can get a good run on it. Scald Eagle calls it off before he has a chance to pick up any points.
Scald Eagle hot on his heels there. So for those of you that are interested in that Denver Bay Area bout, that's going to be starting at 6 o'clock Mountain. So I think it's 5 for us.
Or 7.
One of those two.
I don't know.
Maybe it is 7.
I don't live out there. It's either, yeah.
It'll be live on DNN, so that means free, good price.
Just Google it. All right, so sulfuric acid lead jammer for Wheels of Justice. Don Juan breaking through. He's right behind her.
Both jammers trying to do some positioning. It looks like we have a 4-wall of purple there in the back being broken up a little bit. Sulfuric acid takes the outside. Don Juan takes the inside. And no room for Don Juan. 3 points for sulfuric acid. Purple and white grabbing some more points there. And breaking up that run of men's points that we've seen the last couple jams, Magic.
It's all right. I'm sure they'll get right back up on top of that. Wheels of Justice doing an excellent job in just about every jam, running out to that front line first and being absolutely on the jammer line, taking a knee ahead before the men can get there.
Interesting turn there. So it looks like White Flight must have realized that she was either very tired or had more minors than she thought she did. She quickly switched the jammer cap with Minstrel Psycho, who now is the jammer stuck in the middle.
Recycled to the back of the pack. Demo doing an excellent job playing the strategy there and dragging her back. Bleed him and Reap breaks out and calls it off.
That was interesting. He had lead jam, and it looks like Minstrel Cycle was kind of stuck in the pack.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Might have been an opportunity there to pick up a couple points for the Menace.
Yeah, you'd think. I don't know. What's going through his head? Looks to be a little bit of confusion on the track, and Mike Checks calling a timeout for the Wheels of Justice.
You can tell he means business because he has his iPad.
Yeah, he's absolutely serious when he's out there. It's a different person than I know when we're working on the microphone.
So he made some lineup changes there. It looks like he sent some purple back. We've got 3 coming over, so Scald Eagle is going to be on the line. Looks like Mercy.
And the Blessed Unicorn.
Thank you. Had a bad angle on that one.
2 of their blockers in the box. That would be White Flight and JK Rolling. The men with 1 blocker in the box, Carpe Demon. Not quite sure how long he's going to be sitting over there.
So maybe an opportunity for PMRD to try to mount some offense here. On the line for the gentlemen.
Bangers and Stash, Crisco Disco, and Clydesdale. Shreddy Mercury jamming against the Scald Eagle.
A lot of positioning going on out there. They're trying to jockey for just the right spot on the line. That sweet spot where they'll burst through.
And Bangers and Stash on his way to the penalty box. Carpe Demon taking back to the track.
So with no one really moving, we're just kind of burning clock right here. It says 1:39 left on the jam.
The men pulling a nice little strategic move to get things moving. Scald Eagle out in front of it. Shreddy Mercury jumping the inside line is lead jammer.
And he takes advantage of that and calls off the GM. So some nice play there for the gentleman.
Shreddy showing off some of his time working with the circus in Amsterdam on that jump on the inside line. He's quite acrobatic. You didn't know that? It's true.
Come on, Magic. Everyone knows that.
Oh, okay. You never know.
All right, so we're back on the track. It looks like the gentlemen are taking a knee, which should make for a quick start here. And the reason they're doing that is they had 3 blockers out, so they had a blocker advantage. They really wanted to get that jam started. They were betting they'd be able to get Bleem and Reap out of the pack. With 1 to beat, it looks like they bet correctly.
And they're still hanging up sulfuric acid in the backfield. They're doing an excellent job. Blitzkrieg, Determinator, and Rob Lobster.
Sulfuric acid trying to break through. She's facing a 2-wall. Bleem and Reap on the pass. Moves by on the hip. Picks up 5 big points for Portland men's roller derby.
And calls it off. And looks like sulfuric acid went to the penalty box there. I missed the call. Sorry about that.
So this evening on the East Coast, Gotham is actually getting things started. They're going to take on Long Island. It's number 21 in the East, Long Island. Gotham, the defending champs. I kind of like Gotham's odds this evening. I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but I'm thinking they might get a win out of that.
I kind of like Gotham's odds anytime they're playing. The men starting this jam down 1, but with the only jammer on the track. Don Juan racing up front, charging through, trying to find a way through. Breaks out. He's your lead jammer.
Interesting. He kind of came up behind. It looks like he gave Heidi Goes Seek a little ride. She went down, but they ruled it as incidental, I guess, because there was no call on the play.
The men with everybody back on the track, looking right now to pick somebody off and drive their jammer through.
There's a 3-wall out there for the Wheels of Justice. There's just a crack. He slips through, slides down. Don Juan Devastator back on his skates.
Don Juan through for 5. Excellent pickup for the PMRD. Joyride on her way to the penalty box.
So don't look now, but it looks like the men have a full pack and their jammer on the track. The women are out there with 2 blockers.
And their jammer.
She snuck out when no one was looking.
And the jam is off. Excellent play from PMRD, staging their big comeback. Like I said,
You did predict this. Okay, so it looks like we have 1 timeout left for the Rose City Rollers. There's 3 for PMRD. 166-47. 20-15 left here in the second half of play.
And if you know anything about Derby, this game could go either way at any time. 120 points is nothing. It's 2 or 3 really good jams.
So one of the things I got to do last year was I got to call Puget Sound against Rat City. And earlier in the season, Puget Sound had got obliterated by Rat City. Puget was treating as a tune-up before the MRDA championship bout. And they really showed up to play. They kept it tight, and they actually beat Rat last year at home for Puget Sound.
That's amazing.
And after they won that, then they went on to the MRDA champions, and they came in second place behind the New York Shock Exchange. So these bouts can really help to determine what will happen later on in the year and kind of how things shape up.
Well, it's a learning experience, too. You build strategy. You learn something every minute you're on the track playing against a team like the Wheels of Justice.
So we can kind of see out there the Baxter and Mike Checks are chatting. They are referencing the iPads, so it might be a buy or sell regarding Apple, you know. Also out there, it looks like Susan Bianarchy and Hurt Vonnegut are doing a little discussion with their bench. Very calm. As I mentioned before, I'm used to bout days being a little bit more fiery.
Yeah.
But not a lot of angry faces out there right now.
No, these two teams absolutely love each other. We all share this space. If it wasn't for the women, the men wouldn't exist. So there's a lot of love on the track right now, HP, and you're seeing it in every jam.
It's kind of nice here in the building. It's probably 65, 70, little breeze.
It's a very comfortable bout.
We're up at a little elevation here in the crow's nest, if you will, and the temperature just feels nice. I've been here before where it's 110, it feels like.
I think it was 110 on the floor that day, and up here it was like 115.
No wind. No ice.
If anybody knows Randy Pan, when that guy gets on a whining jag, there's no stopping him. It was hot that day. He was uncomfortable, and everybody knew about it.
I think that was Bay Area last year that was here, and Rose, and trying to remember, there was like 3 or 4 teams here. There's a lot of hot and miserable going on.
I probably drank a gallon of water just sitting here.
I was actually here with my wife, and she found that there was some place over at Oaks that was serving ices or something like that. And she brought back, ices, and we were all kind of using them on our head and kind of spreading them around.
Can't imagine actually playing roller derby in conditions like that. It's such a physical game.
And that's one of the reasons that they always try to keep the bananas on hand, trying to keep that potassium high, try to avoid cramps or, trying to... You don't want the body to stop working in the middle of a jam.
No, get a low block major for that. All right, men on the track on their knee up front to release the jammers right away. Wheels of Justice down 1 blocker going into this jam. Shreddy Mercury looking for his chance to break through. Scald Eagle not afraid to play a little defense on the outside.
She's trying to find a little space there, but she's up against a 3-wall, pushing her into the inside. I believe it was Lobster there, Bleed 'em and Reap, giving her the cold shoulder. Jumping out while we were looking at that was Shreddy Mercury, who has lead jam for Bridgetown Menace. Scald Eagle out of the pack now as well.
Shreddy looking for a chance to make one pass here and pick up some points on his way through. A little help from One Punch Patrick. He bumps the front line, takes a spill on the outside.
I think that might have been Heidi Goes Seek with the big hit there, but Shreddy's the one that took the seat.
Yeah. Scald Eagle drops it right behind the line, forces her way through, picks up another 5.
Bleed 'em and Reap with some really aggressive defense to try to put the stops on, but Scald Eagle wasn't having it. She just flew through. She flew.
She flies. Menstrual Psycho and the French Tickler in the penalty box right now. Menstrual Psycho just getting released. Not quite sure what was going on with that.
So cutting the track, looks like possibly a minor. It might even have been Scald picking up the minor. It's hard to say with the minors sometimes.
One Punch and Bleed 'em working Scald Eagle over in the front end.
Bleed 'em and Reap just tagged her right in the chest. It was a pretty good hit, but she picks up 5, definitely earning her dinner out there right now.
One Punch Patrick on his way to the penalty box. Shreddy Mercury re-released back onto the track.
Somewhere along the line, it looks like Bleed 'em and Reap must have picked up a cutting the track minor, possibly a 4th, or also a major cutting the track, and it's on his way to the box.
Cilia Devourer on her way to the penalty box. Going into the second half, we're having a lot of penalty trouble right now, HP.
Looks like 5-3. Wheels of Justice outscoring PMRD on that pass, so good job by both teams. 191-54 here, 17-54 as we get ready for this next jam.
Rob Lobster and Susan B. Anarchy out there trying to get a word in edgewise with the referees. We're in, looks like, an official timeout.
One of the things that the Bridgetown Menace does enjoy here in the second half is a timeout advantage. So they've got 3 to Wheels 1, and that kind of. Go ahead.
They're very stingy with those timeouts.
All right, so this looks like a little bit of a review. It's difficult to say from up here exactly what's being discussed, but they're gesturing at the whiteboard, so possibly some penalties.
Penalty counting issues. Yeah, the referee's doing a lot of that. Penalties really start to, especially minors, start to rack up in the second half and get really, really important. Maybe in a game with a closer score, it would be different. But average, in a normal game, those minors really rack up in the second half and really start to punish somebody.
So we talked a little bit about that in the first half. So it's 4 minors to a major, 7 majors to an ejection. And because there were so many called in the first half, you and I had already mentioned there's a good possibility we might see some people leaving the game a little early here in the second half.
I always hate to see somebody get ejected unless they're on the other team.
Right, because then it's good.
Yeah.
I'm following your logic there.
There you go. Well, when you're playing, you're counting on seeing guys getting booted. And on the track for the first time of the evening, jamming for the Bridgetown Menace, we've got the speed bump.
Little change of pace out there for Bridgetown Menace.
Yeah, a little bit. He's a heavy hitter, a big player, not our usual jamming stock. He does a nice job. Quite familiar with everybody on both teams. Been around roller derby in the Rose City for a long time.
So sometimes you see the dance-off from the skaters, but you don't see the NSO dance-off nearly as often. A little bit of that going on there in the middle right now.
And knowing the NSOs, I know how much they love to dance. And there's tons of people behind the scenes, folks. There's the referees, the players that you can see, the coaches, but there are non-skating officials. They're the people on the track all dressed in black, tallying penalties, watching the score, doing all of the administrative duties that go on during the game. It's a huge number of crew of people that go into making these games happen as smoothly as they do.
And a lot of them are volunteers.
We're all volunteers.
Yeah. So just here out of the goodness of their heart, they're trying to do something great for the community.
And the love of this amazing sport.
Do something great for women. Today, doing something great for men. So it just feels like a big warm hug here this afternoon.
I consider every hit I take, every time I fall down, to be doing something great for women.
As you should.
Thanks.
All right, so starting to lead a cheer is the Wheels of Justice bench. This is an unfamiliar territory for him. This room is usually electric, especially in the second half of bouts. And right now they're their own cheerleaders, which is probably a little bit of a new sensation for the Wheels.
Right. Them doing stuff like that would usually end up with me saying, everybody make some noise! Hey, if you're at the Baghdad, make some noise!
Oh, look, I can see everyone going crazy. That totally worked, Pony.
I can hear it from way over here.
One of the recent tournaments that was going on was the Dust Devil, and the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls won that event, which is not unexpected. They're actually a pretty good team.
They're very, very good. Texine in the middle of the track doing the worm.
That is a genuine caterpillar, I think, right there. Just doing some great action. I really appreciate her pivot. She was doing some really fine hip action to kind of pull that off.
She's amazing. Wow, this is a long, long official timeout.
You know when you really have time to break down the dance routine that it's been a little bit of a long time out.
I got my sheet of cardboard right here. I'm going to do some break dance. Oh, we're back in. Sorry, folks.
That's disappointing.
Maybe at the after party.
Where's that at again?
That's at the bar behind the Baghdad Theater. Both teams going into this jam down some people due to the penalty box, and White Flight is your lead jammer.
Trying to find some spaces. Speed bump. He has 2 to beat for the Wheels. Little purple wall, make it 3. Not a lot of men out there right now.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg out there pretty much all by himself trying to make a hole for Speed Bump to get through that wall.
And they are serious.
Scrappy Go Lucky, French Tickler, and Mercy makes a wall of doom. White Flight round the outside. Speed Bump playing a little defense for a second there, but she breaks through. Picks up another 5.
That's not to be confused with the Temple of Doom, Pony.
No. Speed Bump still fighting to break his way through that wall. Both of the blockers from the Bridgetown Menace standing in the penalty box and will be taking the track momentarily. Speed Bump in the penalty box.
And that was after receiving a huge hit from Mercy, so just adding the insult to the injury there.
I don't know that Mercy knows how to do anything other than huge hits. Or she makes the small ones feel huge, I'll tell you that. White Flight taking a beating up front from Blitzkrieg and Bleed him and Reap, but breaks through for another 5. Rob Lobster on his way to the penalty box for the Bridgetown Menace.
So the Wheels of Justice now at full strength. 4 blockers out there, plus White Flight. It's a power jam situation. She just picked up another 5, doing a great job on the last pass, and really just has Bleed him and Reap to beat, and she does. 5 more points.
Wheels of Justice keeping Bleed him and Reap and Blitzkrieg apart. They can't get together, and the jam is off. That was a huge jam for White Flight, a big lead for the Wheels of Justice.
Looks like sulfuric acid coming out for the purple and white. The men are going to still be in the box. It looks like less than 10 seconds left on that penalty, so we will have 2 jammers in play here pretty quick.
Sharing the penalty box with speed bump right now, Rob Lobster. So the men down 1 blocker going into this jam. Looking to play some heavy defense in the backfield against sulfuric acid.
Wheels of Justice at full strength. Sulfuric acids get ridden out. She's back in play, trying to find some room in the inside, and she does grab that lead jammer spot.
Speed bump back on the track for just about 1 lap and then re-entering the penalty box.
That was pretty fancy. It looks like there was a piece of equipment down on the court, and sulfuric acid did her pass, picked up the gear, threw it out, and now is looking to pick up points in the pack with a little whip.
Demolition Man, the last one to get by. She breaks through for another 5. The men with all of their blockers back on the track.
All right, so here comes sulfuric acid for another pass. She has 3 to beat. She's taking a push to the inside there, 2 wall.
Demolition Man hanging her up, dragging her back to the back of the pack.
Okay, looks like she picked up
Cut major.
So she should have came in behind Demolition. She came in front, and they sent her to the box, which means PMRD goes on the power jam, which is a good time for them.
Well played by Demolition Man back there, hanging her up on the inside line and just beating her back.
There was some abuse going on out there.
A very friendly abuse, though.
Speed bump back out. He's got a 3 wall to get through.
Sees some sunshine and breaks through. Speed bump on his scoring pass. Carpe Demon on his way to the penalty box once again.
All right, so the wheels get to the front. There's going to be a 3 wall to beat as Speed bump gets back into the pack. He gets his first bump. Speed bump takes a bump.
Havana, good time putting it to him right there. Clydesdale jumping in, trying to open it up for him. Not enough time. The jam is off. 2 for the Wheels of Justice.
That was actually some really good penalty killing right there.
It's definitely a very technical and action-packed jam.
Looks like Shreddy Mercury, Crisco Disco in the pack for PMRD. On the line, Juan the Devastator.
Don Juan.
Right. With the Don.
The Don Juan. In the penalty box right now, most of the Wheels of Justice, sulfuric acid, Heidi Goes Seek, looks like the Blast Unicorn, and for the men, Carpe Demon and the Demolition Man.
One of the things that makes Derby so tough is that a lot of these skaters have multiple jobs. So right now you see Scald Eagle in the pack, and she, of course, is also a very strong jammer for the Wheels of Justice.
Shreddy Mercury doing an awesome job ushering Frankenherder off the track and opening up the lane for Don Juan to break through to become lead jammer. Shreddy Mercury now on his way to the penalty box.
Picks up a major, which means that we've got some more white and black sitting in the box here.
But Don Juan broke through for 4, almost making Shreddy's trip to the penalty box worth it.
So we've got 3 Bridgetown Menace in the box, 1 standing, so should be out pretty quick. We've got we got 1 Wheels in the box. And as we come back to play, we're going to have a 3-1 blocker advantage for the Wheels of Justice.
Shreddy Mercury being ejected from the game due to too many minutes in the penalty box. He'll be taking the walk of shame, disappointing all of his friends and teammates, and leaving the building.
Wow.
Did I say that out loud just now? I'm sorry. Bastard.
On the bench for PMRD is actually several individuals. They've got a really deep bench today, so there's not going to be an issue as far as majors. We'll definitely get through the play. It's not like we're going to get back to a situation where there's 3 people that are eligible to skate or something like that.
I hope not. Shreddy usually one of the guys who plays a very clean game, doesn't spend much time in the penalty box. It's an uncharacteristic play on his part. On the line right now for the men, Bangers and Stash up front. Bleed 'em and reap. Bangers and Stash breaks out. He did not get lead jammer because he picked up a back blocking minor on his way through. JK rolling lead jammer, calls it off.
No points, it looks like, for the women.
No points for anybody. Fists in the air.
I missed one fist.
That's all right.
So 228 to 58. The women in purple and white leading over the black and white Bridgetown Menace. We've got 10:56. There's 3 timeouts left for Bridgetown. There's 1 for the Wheels of Justice.
Carpe Demon standing in the penalty box. He'll be back on the track starting now. Rob Lobster sitting it out. He should probably be rejoining us soon as well. The men
like the
force
jammers
the
are
start.
off.
Jammers are off. Blast Unicorn up front against One Punch Patrick. Carpe Demon and Determinator breaks through for lead jammer. Don Juan going to the penalty box for a back block major.
Okay, so we're on the power jam here. Wheels of Justice. Blast Unicorn has 1 to beat. I think it's the Determinator. She does and grabs 4. Without the jammer in play, I would have thought that would have been a 5-point pass, but
You never know. She might have passed somebody not exactly legally.
she has to go past Carpe Demon. Gets her full 5 points, so 9 points so far in the jam for Blast Unicorn. Just ripping it up out there.
The men trying to wall it up in the back. Determinator on his way to the penalty box as Blast Unicorn picks up another 5.
She found a big hole in the outside and just took advantage, doing a great job there of finding the space.
Jukes around, Lobster and Demon finds her way through, picks up another 5 points.
Really putting up some big numbers here. The wall for Wheel of Justice also doing a great job of really blocking out the blockers for Bridgetown Menace, not leaving any space to put the stops on Blast Unicorn.
Yeah, I know we were talking about penalty trouble earlier, but right now the men's team is really suffering from it. One Punch Patrick goes to the penalty box, leaving Rob Lobster and Carpe Demon on the track by themselves. Don Juan out of the penalty box, making a run for it right now.
Blast Unicorn picking up another 5 points, and we'll see what the final count is on this last pass. Was that 1?
Oh, I had my eyes closed.
It's exactly 200 points right now between the Wheels and Bridgetown Menace. And this is the exact moment that Bridgetown Menace will start to launch their comeback.
As I was saying earlier, if you know anything about Derby, this game could go either way at any minute. 200 points is just 4 or 5 really good jams, apparently for Scald Eagle, who is the lead jammer.
If this were a baseball game, it'd be the equivalent of like 3-1.
Mercy on her way to the penalty box. Scald Eagle dropped to the inside by Determinator and a follow-up hit from Blitzkrieg. She calls it off before Bangers has a chance to pick up any points at all.
And Scald Eagle picks up 2 points for the Wheels of Justice.
The men having a difficult time getting their walls together in this second half of the second half and holding the walls that they get together. Did that make any sense?
I followed.
The ladies are still just being extremely effective about separating them and keeping them away from each other.
One of the nice things right now, if you're a PMRD fan, is you see 2 purple in the box, 1 white standing, under 10 seconds left.
And Bleed 'em and Reap, their jammer, picks up lead. Oh, with JK rolling on her way to the penalty box, that leaves Bleed 'em and Reap on the track all by himself. Lead jammer, power jam.
Bleed 'em and Reap really flying around. Brought down sulfuric acid.
Bleed 'em and Reap, a guy not afraid to play a really rough game when he needs to.
Picked up 5 on the last pass and looking to expand that now.
French Tickler drops him to the outside. He runs to the in, breaks through for another 5.
10 points so far in the jam, and this is definitely what PMRD needs to do to crawl back into this thing.
You can see in Bleed 'em and Reap style right there. He's just going to back and forth. You think you've got him under control, and then he finds a hole and breaks through it. Minstrel Psycho going after him, but not stopping him.
He just kind of shrugs that off, picks up another 5. That's 15 on the jam. One of the better jams today for PMRD.
Thanks. I'll tell the guys at the after party at the bar behind the Baghdad Theater. Bleed 'em and Reap round the outside, picks up another 5 points.
20 points so far on the jam. Doing a great job out there is Bleed 'em and Reap. Looks like JK rolling.
Back on the track.
And she's getting through. That's not her scoring pass. I was trying to see if she's picking up points, but she wasn't.
Her initial pass. An excellent jam for the Bridgetown Menace. Bringing them up to, not quite sure yet. Look at the official board. But they're making their comeback right now.
The board seems to say 82.
I keep waiting for it to change. On the line right now for the Menace, Bangers and Stash, and the Blast Unicorn.
Both jammers hit the back of the pack, stopped abruptly.
Don Juan, Rob Lobster hanging her up back there.
Blast Unicorn grabs lead jammer, flies through. She's the only jammer to the pack. She will be able to extend this lead. Out now as well as Bangers and Stash. Easy to spot because of those sparkly silver shorts. I've heard you like sparkly things, Pony.
I love those Beta brand disco ball shorts.
Blast Unicorn picking up 4 points on that pass. Scoreboard says 264 to 82 in favor of the purple and white. 4:24 here left in the half. Still 3 timeouts remaining for Bridgetown Menace. Rose City looking to put the
nails in the coffin?
Yes, possibly.
The men pulling a little bit of strategy to get the game started. Joyride right up against the white wall, driving them forward. The men doing a good job as best they can to slow her down. Crisco bridging that line. Bleed 'em and Reap looking for a way to break through that 4-wall in the back.
One of the things you notice Joyride doing there is just churning those skates, keeping her arms absolutely at her sides in an effort to break that wall down or push it beyond the point where they'll have to call the no pack and then let her go.
Joyride on the inside, moving her feet, slips by a speed bump, picks up another 4 and calls it off.
All right, we're getting down to crunch time here. It looks like they send out J.K. Rollins.
J.K. Rolling.
Yes.
Oh,
You're
yes.
correct.
Sorry. I don't want to get shanked in the parking lot for saying the girls' names wrong. The men take a knee to get the jam started right away. Everybody lining up. Bangers and Stash takes a duck, breaks through that front wall. JK Rolling looking for a hole around the outside, can't find it. On the inside line, it's JK Rolling, lead jammer.
Still trying to get out of the pack there is Bangers and Stash, I believe.
Ladies just keep getting in front of him. Scald Eagle and Mercy at him now.
Bangers and Stash really churning those skates. Finally makes his way through. J.K. Rolling will have the opportunity to put some points on as she's back in the pack and through.
She picks up 4 on her way through. She had a track cut. No, Demolition Man. Looks like he picked up a track cut major.
Spending a little time in the back.
He'll be in the penalty box.
So one blocker for each team sitting in the box. It's going to be 3-on-3 in the pack. Back to the line. It looks like Blast Unicorn out there for the Wheels of Justice. And the gentlemen are bringing out Crisco Disco. I don't think we've seen him on the line much tonight.
We have not. Hopefully this will be a shock to the ladies because his style of play is absolutely dynamic and just big. Crisco up against the front. Bleed him and Reap trying to open up a hole for him. On the inside, one more to get by.
Blast Unicorn shoots through, grabs lead jammer. Sorry, not the lead jammer, but she is the foremost jammer. So still an opportunity for someone to pick up lead.
It's a nice way of putting it. Crisco Disco still working hard up front. Dynamic leap. Cilia Devourer drops him to the outside. He did pick up lead jammer and then called it off.
But not before Blast Unicorn picks up a grand slam. 5 more big points for the Wheels of Justice. 273 to 82 for the Wheels. There's
less than a minute in regulation play.
So something we can't say when there's a live feed here in the house is that unless someone calls a timeout, then this will be the end of the bout. But there's actually an opportunity here with PMRD sitting on 3 timeouts to take one of those and get an extra jam or 2 in.
It could happen. The last jam in regulation play.
Joyride out there.
Bangers and Stash right up front pushing against that wall. Joyride on the inside.
She just skirts. It looks like she was really close to the line, but she stayed in. Or not.
She picked up a cut major on that and is on her way to the penalty box. Bangers and Stash, lead jammer, with a minute 32 seconds left to make up the difference in the score in this game. This is Bridgetown Menace's big chance to take the lead.
Okay, so the women in purple out in front. They've set up a 3-wall. Looks like White Flight out there with Kickacity and a third skater I can't see.
We got Frankenherder, a White Flight, and I'm going to say Heidi Go Seek. No, Joyride. Bangers and Stash drop to the inside, having a hard time making it through. Rob Lobster sliding up there, trying to open up a hole for Bangers.
The women in purple doing a great job of walling up, not leaving any space for Bangers and Stash to get by.
Bangers runs up front. Frankenherder lays into him.
White Flight with a ginormous hit, folds him like a sandwich and sets him down.
The men waiting for their moment to make an attack on the line right there with 30 seconds left in regulation play. Bangers and Stash on the outside, makes a run for it, drop to the outside.
Looks like he picked up a cutting the track minor possibly on that pass, forced
Bangers
out.
On the inside, slides through, picks up his 5 points.
Back on the track, I believe that's... Is it Joyride? I believe that's Joyride out there.
And that's the end of that game. We'll wait for the final official score.
We want to thank everyone that came to the Baghdad today. The fundraiser definitely helping out the future of the Rose City Rollers.
And supporting local men's roller derby. Say hey, wave to all the ladies, wave to all the men.
Really hard hitting, some really smart play. We saw a lot of great walls. Penalties obviously became an issue today, Magic.
It happens a lot in derby. I got to say how proud I am of all these people, how great it is to watch these amazing Rose City teams play each other. Something that a couple of years ago I thought would just never happen. HP, I want to thank you for being here today, sharing the microphone with me.
It's always a pleasure, Magic Pony. We've got to do it a couple times. You've come to Cherry City before, too, so we definitely appreciate the magic, man.
Love Cherry City Derby. The men take their traditional lap. High fives from the ladies.
I think we're still waiting the official signal that the score is final. We can say that the women won.
I I'm not quite sure about that. I haven't seen the final word. I wish this was more like soccer, and at the end of the game, both teams traded jerseys. That would be really cool. Maybe that's a tradition we could start in these co-ed games. It'd be really fun.
I would encourage lots of layers then for the women, probably.
I hadn't really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
We should start our own traditions.
Maybe we missed the signal, and this is the official score?
The referees are still talking about it. Looks like they haven't quite come around. Or they're talking about the after party.
Where's that again?
It's at the bar behind the Baghdad Theater. Stick around. Check that place out. I know most of these people are going to be stopping in over there. And you can get a beer for your favorite players. And we're wrapping this up. That's the official score.
277-87 in favor of the Wheels of Justice. Great bout this afternoon. We want to thank everyone for coming out.
We'll see you at the after party.